Oh, man, it just doesn't get old, does it? Just keep playing these highlights all day, and we'll be doing it all week. Joining us, as promised, on Thursday of last week. Normally joins us at 1:30 on Thursdays. The assistant head coach for Arizona State, Charlie Ragle, joins us now from the Trophy Bar, which, by the way, Charlie, we just got word that the Big 12 Championship Trophy is en route to be on Rocket Manooch with Jimmy B. So I know you've already got a picture taken with it, but what's the better side? What side should I get my picture taken with it?
Oh, right down the middle, baby. Afternoon, fellas. How we doing?
Good, man. But 4th and 1 inches, 35-yard line. What are you guys thinking? Come on. I mean, what's that all about, Coach?
That took some big cajones.
I mean, seriously.
Pelotas.
4th and 1. What's going on with that, Coach?
Wow.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was looking up, and when we subbed in an extra offensive lineman, and they were pointing him out, and all of a sudden, like, he goes in like a shuffle motion. And so, I'm expecting we're going to run some sort of, split zone. And so I'm looking for him to wham somebody. And all of a sudden, I see him go across. I was like, what is he doing? He's screwing this thing up. And the next thing I know is I see Noquan running down the field wide open. And I'm like, oh, we're throwing this thing. And I'll tell you what, that was a heck of a call. And to me, that kind of changed really the game, kind of just broke it open right there. And I know it's close a little bit longer after that, but that was a heck of a call by Marcus, and obviously led to big start for us and a big football game for the Devils.
Charlie, I thought that the field goal on the opening drive, I thought that was big too, just to pretty much allow that young man to make the field goal. And it seemed as though your guys' attitude was, look, we have opportunities to score, we're going to get it. That was big as far as a confidence builder, and the team kind of going, oh, we're going to kick a field goal and to make it and then come back that following drive to have the trickeration that was the long game by Stovall.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think obviously, it's well chronicled. We've had our ups and downs in the field goal department this season, and to come out and for Karsten to step up on a big stage like that and knock that thing through was just, I think it was a boost to everybody's morale, and he was in the zone, and it really got us going off on, the right foot, that day, no pun intended. And then obviously followed up by the big play on the 4th and 1. It just, man, everything fell our way. And obviously it turned out to be a fantastic day there in Jerry World, and obviously Big 12 champions.
We talked about, I think it was the Cincinnati game. We said that early start, 10 o'clock our time, 11 o'clock Dallas time. And you looked at the Cincinnati game. These early morning practices, just really kind of a culmination of the entire year. Your kids came out like, okay, no big deal. You guys were in attack mode, and it looked like Iowa State was the lethargic one. And I don't know what time they practiced, but you guys were in on all cylinders from the get-go.
Yeah, you know what? When we got up in the morning, I was a little worried. Like, it was such a weird trip in the sense that, and then we got there, 5 o'clock or so in the afternoon, landed, went to the hotel, and everything was just so bang bang because the start was early, right? So, like, I'm watching the kids come to pregame meal, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, man, I just don't. Are we going to be awake and ready for this thing? And as we got into the locker room, and I've said this to you guys multiple times, these guys our kids were dialed and ready to play. Like, it's just at some point, I think probably in my mind it's been Oklahoma State, but these guys hit a switch on them, and every single time we've come out to play, these guys have been ready, and they were really locked in and really wanted to, show the world what they were about on Saturday morning, and they did just that.
Charlie Ragle's our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. All right, Coach, we love having you on the show. You bring great insight into what is taking place, but I want to ask you now, as a assistant coach, how has Hines Ward, the wide receiver coach, with his NFL background, impacted this team? And how much as that has carried over into this team, especially with the wide receivers?
Yeah, I think you, after being around Hines for, X amount of months that I have been now, you understand why he was a very successful NFL player and played for as long as he did. Very humble, you know. He's just a worker, and you wouldn't know that he's Hines Ward unless, you know, somebody comes up and says, "Oh, look, it's Hines Ward." You know, he's just a humble, hardworking dude. And I think that anybody that's had that kind of success, when you watch that in this profession, when there's so many guys that promote a fake brand of success, if you will, a guy who's real and has had it and as authentic as him, it's genuine and it rubs off on your stats. But more importantly, that mentality has rubbed off on his players. And I think you see it even more, not just in their development, but I think you see it in how they go block people. You know, like all these receivers that end up being great receivers, obviously the first thing they can do is run and catch the football, right? But the mentality to, you know, be a little bit selfless and go block for your teammates, I think has really been his stamp on that room. And it has been good for our whole football team, period.
Yeah, Charlie, I've enjoyed watching the game that Marcus Arroyo has called as your offensive coordinator. It has really evolved. I really feel it. Scattaboo and Levitt and all the above, and Jimmy alludes to your wide receivers. How much of a difference, you know, from last year to this year when you look at what he's done with this team, and why would it be so expansive in reference to this year versus last year?
Well, I think it starts with the first thing, and I think you know what it is. It's the quarterback. I mean, I think the growth and development that we've seen Sam, you know, play with over this season from where he started to where he's at, you know, today is night and day in itself. So I think, you know, obviously that growth and development, as I just mentioned, his ability to, you know, win plays with his feet. I think that entire combination, and then what Marcus has done to help grow him, you know, from a mental side. I think that has really allowed us to play at a high level. Furthermore, obviously when you have a running back, as we all know, in Cam and what he has done and capable of, that's a pretty lethal combination. And it's really made for an exciting and productive offense this season.
Charlie Ragle, Rockin' Manooch with Jimmy B. I'm curious, when you come down to this big layoff before the Peach Bowl and you have two teams you got to self-scout for, how does the process work from here, and how much practice are you going to be able to get in? And along with that, transfer portal's open now. How do you police that?
Oh, by the way, Charlie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I mean, that literally is what I've been doing all day, is just on the phone trying to, you know, lock up a couple of positions here and there. And so recruit right now. Obviously, we've got some downtime, as you mentioned. So our players are going to have some days off here over the next week and let them, you know, see their families, get their, you know, legs back underneath them. So they'll be doing that. And then in the meantime, we'll start, you know, cruising both of those ball clubs that we could potentially play in Clemson and Texas, and start to dig in on each of them a little bit, you know, and have enough in the arsenal that when we start practicing next week, we can, you know, delve into it a little bit and give our guys a little taste. And as the week continues next week and as we move forward, that will grow. And then obviously next Friday, I believe it is, they play Friday or Saturday. And then obviously we'll hone in on the winner and go ahead and go all out on a full game plan there. But, you know, it's a process. Right now it's really focused on the portal. And, you know, with, you know, just like I said, just starting to look at that, both opponents and a little by little and, you know, day by day. And as the course of the next week goes on, we'll start to lock in a little bit more from a football standpoint.
Charlie, let me follow up on Rock's question about the portal. And when it began, everybody said, oh, no, this is terrible. But ASU went from worst to first by utilizing the portal. What makes your coaching staff so good at utilizing that transfer portal?
Well, I think it's a philosophical approach that at the end of the day, you know, there's two things that you have to be, I think. And I think Kenny can tell you this, you know, flat out. Obviously, you have to be a good player because we need good players to win. But I think it also, you know, we hit on good people. And that's what we really look for, guys that can help us win from an athletic standpoint, but then at the same time, were good people that wanted to be here in Tempe. And I think that's what we have. We have a group of young men that, weren't highly sought after. Some of them were, but not all of them. But we had a group that is hardworking, selfless, wants to be here in Tempe, and plays for one another. And I think, we found that combination. A little bit of luck is certainly sprinkled into that, no matter what anyone tells you. And then, the ability to get down beyond the surface and find out, who people really are. I think that's probably what separates our staff. And I think when you come in and you're in our building, you feel it, that not only are we looking for that, we are that ourselves, because this is where we truly want to be.
Coach, thanks for jumping on with us on a Monday after a big win, and we will talk to you again on Thursday as we get closer to the Peach Bowl. But congrats to you and your staff and all the players and everybody that makes it happen, and we appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for the time today.
Oh, my pleasure. How great is it to say, Big 12 champs, boys. I'll talk to you on Thursday.
You got it. That's Charlie Ragle, assistant head coach of the Sun Devils. He's brought to you by Crest Insurance Group. They've been sponsoring Charlie Ragle for the last couple of years here on Rock 'em Nooch with Jimmy B. They offer personal, business, specialty insurance solutions for clients across all markets. Check them out for yourself. CrestINS.com. That's CrestINS.com. Coming up, little Factor Fooey with ABC 15's Craig Fooey. That's next as